Hey all, here OS Reviews. A recent trend has been gaming smartphones. That's been produced by manufacturers like Xiaomi with the Black Shark, also with the Asus phones, and even the Razer phones that combines fast CPUs and GPUs to give you a responsive gaming experience. Now, today we're taking a look at a product from Chewy that tries to capitalize on this trend, but it's a gaming tablet, which is something that's a little bit more fresh on the market. Now, of course, gaming tablets aren't completely new. A few years back, we saw the Nintendo Switch and also the Nvidia Shield. But again, since gaming phones are getting popular now, they're trying to make a version here today. So this is called the HiPad, and it's a 10.1-inch gaming-centric tablet. Perhaps the best part of this tablet is going to be the low price, which Chewy is always very competitive on, and it sells currently for only $135. That is leaps and bounds cheaper than many of the gaming phones out now, so the biggest question is whether or not the power and the performance can really stack up. So taking a closer look at the packaging here, very simple. It's the same as all of Chewy's products, in fact, in a cardboard box, but we can see it has a laminated 10.1-inch display, which is full 1080p, a Helio Deca-core processor, 3 gigs of RAM, and 32 gigs of storage. So again, it's not going to be quite as cutting edge in terms of those hardware specs as a more expensive product, but it should suffice, and more importantly, it does have a very interesting design that is focused on kind of that gamer style. And inside there is a USB Type-C charging cable along with a wall plug, and then just a tablet sandwiched in between a layer of thick foam, which is very interesting. So it simply slides out like so, and if we try and pull out the entire foam, we also get some documentation sliced on the top. But there is a warranty card inside. It seems like we also have looks like a SIM ejector tool for accessing the micro SD card slot for expanding the built-in memory. And now over to the tablet. We have just a screen protector on top. It says Deca-core 64-bit CPU and again, 10.1-inch display. There is a 7,000 milliamp hour capacity battery on here, which is fairly generous. On the very top, there's the Type-C for charging. There's also a 3.5mm headphone port, memory card expansion slot, and then on the side there's a standard volume rocker, a power switch. Let's try tapping on this for a few seconds to get into the initial boot. If we turn it around, again, we do have a very gaming-like design with all of these exaggerated stripes running through it, very similar to a gaming computer. So it does slightly slant upwards, but these are not LED backlit. They're just kind of ventilation grills, maybe to prevent it from overheating, to provide some passive cooling. It just says designed by Chewy HiPad, and we also have the rear-facing camera, and that's it. So the entire thing is made out of aluminum, has a pretty hefty feel to it. Definitely very solid in terms of construction for only $135. Now, one side effect of having that textured back is it doesn't lie completely flat on a surface, so it does wobble a little bit if it is resting there, but overall it's not too bad. There really isn't kind of a bulge like you would get from a camera hump. A quick size comparison, recently we did also review the Chewy Hi9 Pro. The difference here is this is a 8-inch tablet compared to 10.1 inches, and it also has a Deca-core chipset from MediaTek, but at a lower clock speed. And in terms of size, obviously it's a little bit smaller, doesn't have really that gaming-centric design going on the back, and the build quality is slightly, I would say, less expensive feeling. There's a bit more plastic in terms around the corners, whereas this thing is completely made out of metal all the way around. Surbook Mini, which came out last year, and this is another kind of 10-inch device, but this one is in the style of a Microsoft Surface that it's trying to imitate at a cheaper price. Finally, here is the Lenovo Yoga Book, which is another 10.1-inch device. It's a convertible in this case, but with the same screen size, and you can tell that they are pretty much the same. The Lenovo is actually a little bit larger because it has to accommodate also a keyboard, so there's a bit more of a larger bezel, but in terms of thickness, they are actually about the same. All right, so we are at the standard kind of Android start screen. And oh wow, it says insert SIM card. So it seems like the tray on top isn't only for micro SD. You can also use it as kind of a hybrid slot if you want to pop in a SIM card. Now, this tablet does not have a fingerprint scanner, so in terms of security, you still have to rely on a pattern or a pin. So tap on all set, so that's one area where they were able to cut down on costs a little bit. I also want to point out that again, the screen resolution here being 1080p is different from the Chewy Hi9 Pro because this was a 2K display. So it's a little bit high resolution, especially since the screen size is even smaller, giving you a pretty crazy PPI count, great for watching media. But this is actually, again, preferred for gaming because the processor won't be as boggled down on pushing so many pixels around. It's actually going to give you a more fluid kind of frame rate experience. So we are done, and again, it's a pretty stock looking experience. We can just drag up to have this notification shade. Benchmark results are fairly similar to a Snapdragon 600 series, so a little faster than 625, similar to a 660, so it's not going to be to the extent of a Snapdragon 845 in terms of raw performance, but sits somewhere in between and should be good enough, I would say, especially considering the low price point that we're working with. 3 gigs of RAM, again, a little bit on the low side considering this is a gaming-centric tablet, but again, we are talking about a really low price where even if we were looking at this as just a 10-inch tablet, it would still be very affordable. I want to point out that the reception here doesn't seem to be quite as strong as on the Chuyi Hi 9 Pro, as well as on some other more expensive devices. One of the reasons could be because the entire thing is constructed out of metal, the antennas are struggling a little bit more. It still works fine, but it's just on average 1 or 2 bars behind a competing tablet, so you can see a little bit of a difference there. In terms of first impressions for the display, it seems very sharp with the punchy colors for an LCD panel. Again, it's not AMOLED, but it seems like we have some pretty accurate looking results, fairly generous viewing angles, so that is certainly good. But a little bit zoomed in terms of the resolution since it's being stretched to fit a larger panel, but we do have a few custom wallpapers that are provided by Chuyi that are not included with stock Android if you want to use one of these other designs. So we do have all the standard Google services like the Play Store, we have YouTube, Google Gmail, Photos all pre-installed, so you can download all the games and titles yourself from the Play Store. We also have the standard utilities like the clock down below here. If we go into settings, again, the text here is just super large. We have about 80% charge right out of the box. And again, we are running on Android 8.0 Oreo at the moment, but there may be updates in the future, although I wouldn't count on that being as frequent as on an Android One device, for instance. I do find it a little interesting that the virtual keys on the bottom here are a little bit asymmetrical, just because on the left there's a very large key for kind of hiding these controls, so it kind of pushes everything to the right, but they are again very functional. One initial impression would be that the haptic vibrations are really quality on this tablet, surprisingly. Almost as good as on a Samsung or an Apple product, in fact. So it just feels, very natural. So when you're tapping on a key and it vibrates, it feels like you're pressing on an actual button, which is also going to be helpful, I can tell, because when you're gaming and you have some special effects, it's going to enhance the experience, I think. It does feel like the vibration motor is well constructed. So of course, we'll be doing a lot more testing and come out with a more complete review of the Chuyi Hi Pad soon, but for now that's been our unboxing and first impressions look at this gaming-centric Android tablet, but more importantly a very affordable option. So you can check out more details in the links down below, but for now that's been our videos. Again, stay tuned. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.